This is another edition of the Heel of the Face podcast. I'm Jared.
I'm Brandon.
And they always say that your personality in wrestling is your regular personality amped up to 10. So it makes perfect sense that a man who made his television return this past week was doing it butchering pigs. Talking Brock Lesnar. Did you see Brock Lesnar's new haircut?
Yeah, it looked fantastic. It looks like Mordecai.
I thought it looked more like Billy Gunn 1999, but either way.
That's cool too.
Brock Lesnar, is that what we're going to expect when he comes back? We'll see if he comes back. A lot of people on the horizon to maybe come back this weekend, including fans. That's what's most important as the Heel of the Face podcast starts right now.
Fans celebrate with me from Rome to Rochester.
Bad luck seems to be my middle name. They might as well tag me up with my buddies from Syracuse.
So another edition of the Heel of the Face podcast is here. We are approaching Money in the Bank this upcoming weekend. What a big weekend it is overall for wrestling. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Heel to the Face. Coming up, AEW's Fyter Fest in front of a full house crowd in Texas. Tomorrow night, SmackDown in front of a full house crowd in Texas as well. Money in the Bank, the first pay-per-view outside WrestleMania, in front of fans this upcoming Sunday. So much to talk about coming off of Monday Night Raw, Fyter Fest, as they mentioned, NXT.
And hold on. And the last Monday Night Raw, last WWE show in the Thunderdome.
And a lot of Twitter accounts and social media has been saying, what is your favorite moment in the Thunderdome era? And it happened this past Monday night when it faded to black, and we never had to see it.
Thank the Lord.
Again. Money in the Bank coming up this weekend. We're going to talk all sorts of Money in the Bank stuff. Before we get to Money in the Bank,
so how about Money in the Bank rumors? Any? We going to get to that today?
Well, we got some Money in the Bank rumors. We got some Slammiversary rumors. I'll talk about those as well. Heading into Slammiversary.
Lots of rumors today.
Which is also the first Impact Wrestling event in front of crowd down in Nashville at Skyway Studios. They've got a crowd back as well.
I love it. Crowds are back. Let's go.
Let's start with NXT. Let's start with NXT this week.
Sure.
Karrion Kross defends his championship. And obviously, he looks like he's setting himself up for a little feud or something going on with Samoa Joe.
I love it. I think it's absolutely money.
But you want to talk rumors. How about we talk rumors in this regard? Samoa Joe, what if he's not clear to wrestle? What if this is not a setup to see Karrion Kross versus Samoa Joe in a match? What if it's just a setup to strip him of the title and then move on Karrion Kross to the main roster?
Oh, don't do that to me. Don't do it. Let's keep the title on Karrion Kross. It's a good thing for the business. Don't bring him up yet. I know WWE's probably going to do it. So your theory, I think, might be correct because you usually.
I mean, I don't want to be correct. I want Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross one-on-one.
That's money.
Take over SummerSlam weekend.
We've been seeing a lot of moving parts, by the way. I mean, you got Shotzi.
Yes.
Shotzi and Tegan. So, Shotzi and Knox. They don't go by their names.
They are going to be their names up on the main roster.
I didn't think Shotzi was doing Blackheart.
Shotzi, she might not be Blackheart, but Tegan Knox,
Tegan being Knox too.
Will still be Tegan Knox up on the main roster. I did see that.
So let me ask you this then. Speaking about, now we're talking NXT a little bit. So you saw Mandy Rose on NXT this week. So what I've been hearing, and I think it's been confirmed, not officially, but at least through the rumor mill, it's a trade. Mandy Rose for Aaliyah.
Well,
that's interesting. Aaliyah did get a nice pop. They were giving some Aaliyah cheers when she attacked Mr. Robert Stone there in the Robert Stone brand. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Aaliyah?
I mean, I'm fine with Mandy Rose down on NXT, but I don't a trade.
It's the way they're doing it. It's weird. I do want to see more out of Aaliyah from that Breaking Ground that they did like 7, 8 years ago.
Are you talking that horrible promo that is making rounds?
Well, they did like a Breaking Ground where like it was like a TV show, a short-lived TV show where they showed Aaliyah in the like brand new in the business, and like she was very green from then to now. She's made leaps and bounds. I think she's done pretty well.
Because I was going to say there's like a video making the rounds of like when she was at the PC, did have to do a promo in front of everybody. And like everyone was just like, that was awful. And like William Regal was like, that was
it was not. It was not her beginnings were not good. Yeah, I think that might have been on Breaking Ground if I'm not mistaken. It's been like 5, 6, 7 years since I've seen it, but I'm happy for her though. Like she hasn't. I don't think she's done a lot in NXT, but does that really mean you won't be good on the main roster? I mean, we've seen it before where you've seen competitors not win titles in NXT and they've had decent runs in on the main roster. So I mean, it's possible.
No, it's been a long time. And it's weird too because the people you think are going to be great, like to be honest with you, Aaliyah wouldn't be my first pick of what I've seen down in NXT. Be like, oh, that's a future star right there.
Well, no, and that's the thing. It's I don't know if she's gonna be a future star, but she might be somebody that can be mid-level is fine. You can't have everybody be an A+ player. You can't have that. And you're right though. Mm-hmm. Out of all the female wrestlers that I figured would get the promotion, that wasn't the first name. I figured it'd be like an Io Shirai, somebody in that, but she's in the middle of a whole tag team thing right now.
So, obviously, Karrion Kross defends his championship. He's still the champion, beating up Samoa Joe. And hopefully we see that at the next TakeOver, Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross. That would be
Karrion Kross was so dominant this week, too. He was very dominant against Johnny Wrestling. That was interesting. And then the whole thing there, I think I want to see Karrion Kross and I want to see Samoa Joe. I want to see that match. I just want to see it. They got to be setting this up, right? Like, why would they be planting the seeds if they're not doing anything about it?
Well, like I said, they could plant the seeds into Samoa Joe, strip him of the belt.
Speaking of planting seeds and not doing things, the WWE draft has now moved to October.
Yeah, I see that they're moving on. But you know what? That's good that they're moving it till October because again, we got to get the fans and this kind of
let's get things situated.
Yes,
first.
Let's get things situated to see some fan reactions before we start moving people around because we don't need to move anybody around. It's all fresh to everybody. Essentially, even though everybody's been stuck on their brand, when they're in front of fans again, it's like seeing them brand new. Roman Reigns he's been on SmackDown this whole time. But when he's in front of fans every single week, it's like he just got the SmackDown because according to people like myself who just don't really pay attention in this whole Thunderdome era or pay attention to the extent that I'm about to pay attention.
It's a different ballgame. I mean, look at what AEW just did with Fyter Fest, which I know we're going to get to that in a little bit, but that just having a full audience, I think I think the arena that they were at was like a 5,000, like a comparable to like the War Memorial here in Syracuse.
Cedar Park, Texas is home of the AHL's Texas Stars.
Yeah, so exactly.
In the Austin, Texas area. So yes.
And we'll get to all that in a second, but just having the fans there was awesome. I was so excited for, just the reactions, just seeing who's over, that to me, and speaking of that, Britt Baker.
She's over.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. I mean, well, Fyter Fest overall, just a great card. I mean, and anybody who watched it has said the same thing. It's like every match, especially like somebody like Dean Ambrose when he came out.
You mean John Moxley?
Yes, John Moxley.
Whatever. Mean, let me ask you this. When Wild Thing hits, aren't you juiced up, ready for that match?
Well, I mean, everybody, it seemed like when they came out, everybody who came out last night, that crowd was juiced up for.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was fun, and I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I didn't get to see the coffin match, but I think I read it quickly that Darby won, right?
Yes, Darby did win.
I didn't see the match.
It had some Sting involvement in there as well. It was a decent match. It was a good way to end out the show.
From what I watched, which was about everything except for the coffin match, I just couldn't stay up. I was just falling asleep.
Everybody, the belts that were on the line were retained. Obviously, John Moxley retained his belt.
Yeah, that was interesting. I saw that match with what do they? He calls himself what? Machine Gun. What does he go by now? The Good Brother.
Oh yeah, Carl Anderson.
Machine Gun Carl Anderson.
Yes.
Yeah, I get mixed up because there's Machine Gun Kelly in the music.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, he goes by. Like we talking about Machine Gun Kelly here? Like I thought he faced Carl Anderson.
Yeah, Machine Gun Carl Anderson or something. It's like
yes.
And like he has like his move. It's called like the stun gun. I think it's called. Or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not a big Good Brothers. I don't follow them that much. I know they're pretty good. I just don't. I'm not a huge.
They hope they're good. That's in their name.
Just because you're Good Brothers doesn't mean you're the best. I mean, they are with Kenny Omega at this point. So I mean, you kind of hitch your wagons to that. You're doing okay. I mean, look at Don Callis. He's doing pretty well.
The last Monday Night Raw or WWE show in general that wasn't in front, and it's perfectly apropos that it was also pre-taped because it's just like perfect, just pre-taped. Just get this out of the way.
Thank God.
A couple people were doing double duty in the sense of you knew it was pre-taped because I was watching The Miz play celebrity softball at the same time Monday Night Raw was on. If that gives you any indication.
Wait, so how is he doing softball if he's injured?
Well, I guess he's.
I mean, I mean, shoot. I mean, speaking of that, I mean, Walter's injured too. I don't know if you saw that. Walter's last minute severe injury to his left hand, I think it was. So, I think
Bailey is really injured, and that's a real detriment to her. The fans are coming back, and now she's on the sideline for real.
Well, yeah, and she went to Twitter, and wasn't too happy, obviously, because this whole training camp thing that Vince wanted the PC obviously ticked off a lot of people. So, I mean, Bailey, she's out for what, 9 to 12 months, and the fans, like you said, the fans are just coming back.
Miss WrestleMania next year. Yeah.
How awful is that? Because Vince wanted a PC thing. Like, come on, we don't need a training camp. Just because they're not wrestling, 300 nights a year, like they have, like they're wrestling, what, once or twice a week or once or a couple times a month. I mean, come on, like the matches were what they were. They were fine. Bailey was still doing some of her best work, not only in the ring but on the promo side. So that sucks. That's awful. That the whole training camp that Vince threw, which was not well received, not only because of the injury to Bailey, but a lot of the main stars were like, I don't need it. They don't need it.
I mean, it is tough, though. If you're on wrestling, let's say you're on SmackDown, and you're only doing a promo, and then there's no house shows or anything else, I mean, you're
still working, though. You're still working.
I mean, you could go a month without taking a bump, though.
Yeah, I'm still thinking they're still taking bumps of some sort. They have to be. They got to be staying in a ring. You still have to be.
That's just what the training camp is for.
You don't need the training camp if you're still working out. There's still people still taking bumps. And let's be honest, the PC, it's a good place. You don't need these training camps. You're getting some of these NXT stars getting the rub with the Baileys, for example. You can do that. I mean, speaking of, some folks that have not really taken bumps in a while. I mean, she had a bump, and now she is not, she doesn't have the bump anymore. She's a mom. Becky Lynch. I mean, there's an open slot at Money in the Bank. I mean, hey, perfect time to bring the man back.
Well, we'll talk about that in a few minutes, but before we get to Money in the Bank, we'll continue on Monday Night Raw, where I thought Bobby Lashley's promo was great. That was a highlight to me on Monday Night Raw in general, overall. I mean, Ricochet put on a pretty good match as well, and I'm excited to see how the fans receive him going forward, because I think he's got a future. I mean, it's obvious that he has a future.
He's gonna have a pop,
but
he's gonna have a nice pop.
But I think with fans returning, he could be one of those ones that has a bigger upside with fans returning.
Oh, 100%. I mean, who I want to see? I mean, obviously, I talk about him almost every week. Matt Riddle. I want to see Riddle in front of fans. I mean, there's not a lot of great things to say about the Thunderdome and all this stuff, but Riddle and Randy Orton, they've had this nice chemistry going on. It's one of those things that I have to watch every week at least, because I want to see what kind of funny stuff are they doing next. So Ricochet is one, but I gotta say Riddle is more. I think Riddle is definitely one of those where I think we all know he's a star, but I can't wait to see the crowd reactions. That's going to be fun, because who doesn't like Riddle? I mean, you like Riddle?
Yeah, no, and
Ricochet's good, but Riddle I think is going to be a bigger star.
With Bobby Lashley, he had the great promo. I was hoping someone was going to have a promo that tore apart the set. I don't know if you remember this, but the infamous Chris Jericho being speared by Rhino through the old Ovaltron.
Well, yeah,
the last night of the Ovaltron set on SmackDown.
Well, yeah, they were like, we're getting done with it anyway. So might as well use it.
So I was hoping that somebody would destroy the set or something. You know what I mean? To finish out this Thunderdome.
I mean, Bobby destroyed something,
I will say this much. One thing I have noticed in the Thunderdome and the PC and all these other eras, that I'm going to be very curious going forward. They got to watch themselves. And I've said it a few times with other stuff, just obviously in general, the wrestling. But when they do things where they get erratic, they gotta be erratic they can be erratic because that's the gimmick. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is they've done things where they throw chairs into the crowd because there's no crowd. He throws the couch out of the ring this past week. That's no big deal. And they've done things like that in the world of wrestling before. This is not new. But you're just going to have to remember now that you got fans here that when, you got to restrain some of that power. So when you get mad, Bobby Lashley gets mad and picks up a chair and throws it out of the ring or something like that. You got to make sure you're throwing it towards the rampway or, just a little over the ring, not into the crowd itself. Yeah. Because like I said, during the Thunderdome era, we've seen a lot of things where they've thrown things or they've wrestled into the Thunderdome where they wouldn't normally. It's not like wrestling in front of a crowd where they've picked a guy up and thrown him into the set, or they've taken a chair and thrown it into the set or something like that.
Didn't Brock Lesnar hit a fan one time?
I mean, well, probably when he flung a chair.
I think it was
the
like
ring.
I thought it was like the car door or something.
Oh,
I could be wrong. I mean, the fans of the show can check that out. But
I do remember him flinging a car door. I think he came close. If he might have.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, if you want to, the fans of our program, if you want to fact check that.
But in general, when you have like these talking segments that end with them destroying the set, I'm not saying that they can't do it. They've done it before, but they've just been doing it this way for 18 months or so. So they just got to remember that it's different. You can't just go, 18 months just fans. Like there's a few differences with fans being there.
Speaking of that, like the Ricochet spot there.
Yeah.
That would be in like third row.
Yeah.
If it was regular, if this was
but here's the thing with the Ricochet, with a lot of those spots though, you got to, with fans, it's going to be much better because they can't fake them.
Oh yeah, he land on the pads. Like I know you gave
There's
Chris Jericho a hard time. Yes.
Now because some of these spots, like I said, have had pads in the third row as well, behind one row of video boards, another row of video boards is a mattress.
I don't know how Muhammad Hassan recovered back in the day, man. Oh my goodness, when he got choked through the set there, that was insane. The ramp. Woo, I don't know how he's.
Yes, there was a pad there too.
I don't know how he's a principal these days.
Yes,
man. I don't know how he did it.
There was a pad there as well. But I guess the thing is, things were obviously more thought of.
Yes. Yeah.
Now they're putting pads essentially like just outside of the ring.
Here's the thing.
That's the issue I'm having. They're throwing them out of the ring.
Aside from
there's like a pad
aside from the
outside
set pieces
ring
being thrown though, like the Bobby Lashley, the whole. I think Bobby Lashley cut his best promo I've ever seen.
Yeah. No.
That he showed so much conviction. He sold everything so well. And if I was, if I was Kofi Kingston, I'd be a little nervous because Bobby Lashley, the Almighty, cut the best promo, and I haven't seen this Bobby Lashley, this real edge, at least with a great promo. I don't think I've ever seen it. And I know they're selling it, of course, obviously, but that was really good. I don't think Bobby. I mean, we'll get to the whole match, but man, Bobby's gonna be tough.
Raw this week being pre-taped, we got to see something we haven't seen in a while. Since probably Rick Rude. Somebody showing up on two shows at the same time for two different companies. Rick Rude, obviously the most infamous one because Monday Night Raw back in the day was taped, and then Rick Rude showed up the next week on Nitro.
Hey, don't put Roach and Rude in the same thing, man. Oof, Rude was the man. The ravishing Rick Rude.
Well, Kelsey Heather this week showed up on AEW Dark on Monday night as well as on Monday Night Raw at the same time, as she was one of the ladies in MVP's little clique of ladies.
Yes.
So doing double duty. She that is somebody I'll never remember, but it's worth remembering because it'll probably be a trivia question someday. Who showed up on AEW and WWE on the same night? Kelsey Edwards.
Wait, which one was she?
Which the blonde. I don't know. She's a blonde.
Okay, well, yeah, I think
she's a legit wrestler because she was legitimately wrestling on AEW. She was just one of the girls, I guess you could say, with MVP on Raw. But she was wrestling on AEW Dark.
Wow, she was getting
on Monday night.
She was getting a paycheck from both, huh? That's cool.
Yeah. So
hey, good for her.
But luckily, we won't have many more of these issues in the future with Monday Night Raw going back to live and all segments, hopefully, in the sense of,
and also I mentioned this last week. My dad's gonna be watching wrestling again, so this is good. This is good.
I mean, a lot of people are gonna be watching wrestling again. SmackDown this week.
My dad, I haven't had a chance to watch or talk wrestling with my dad because he doesn't know what's really been going on. So
SmackDown feels like a pay-per-view. I mean, because you got Carmella. She's going to be going against Bianca Belair for the championship.
Are we getting John Cena? Huh?
We might get John Cena. I've heard that for July 23rd next week.
I heard maybe as early as this week. So, I mean, I'll be watching regardless if John Cena's there or not because of the sole fact we're getting fans on SmackDown.
Yes, and from what all accounts say, they're pretty close to being sold out for this Friday night in Houston, Texas for SmackDown.
It'll be sold. It'll be sold out. I'm not worried.
Right, I mean, SummerSlam isn't sold out yet,
or they'll put you on the camera side.
Well, yes, it'll look good for TV. I'm not worried about that. But to actually be sold out in the sense of it's not just looking good for TV, but it's sold out.
I'm gonna assume it is. I think you're gonna get an influx of fans. That'll show up. I mean that's happened before where you sometimes the paid fans sometimes you turn fans away because you've already done enough promos because you weren't sure if you're going to get enough paid people to show.
The thing is right now we're in kind of an uncertain time when it comes to fans because some things, like I said, some things were hard to, like WrestleMania, for example, 25,000. Normally there'd be 80,000 people going to that. They only put 25,000 seats. Was my ticket $15,000? No, it wasn't. It was actually pretty easier to get than other WrestleManias in the past.
I think it'll be better as, I know not in the baseball world because we talked Red Sox Yankees before the show, but I mean, COVID is seeming like it's turning the corner. I'm not a medical professional. I mean, but
yes, I mean there's spots where it still shows up here and there.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's enough. It's enough where we can move on and we can start.
Texas is wide open, so I'm not too.
And
worried.
we can start to, when things happen, to shut down those things. Like when we say, okay, these people got COVID. Okay, the wrestler gets pulled from the card. Not the whole show gets shut down,
which is good.
Yes,
that'll be a good thing, especially for me as a baseball fan. I want to watch some Sox Yanks this weekend.
So, Slammiversary is this weekend in front of fans. Kenny Omega versus Sami Callihan for the Impact Championship. But there's some rumors. Slammiversary as I think Impact Wrestling has got the most.
There are always rumors.
Impact Wrestling it literally lives and dies on the debut.
So if the rumors, are they going to get an extra 10,000 buys because of it? I mean, what are we doing?
Well, there's just a few names that are floating around that could possibly show up at Slammiversary. I guess my thing too is with Impact Wrestling, this seems kind of weird. They get this big pop, whether it be last year at Slammiversary or this year, or any event that they do.
So who's the rumor?
Well, there's a few rumors. Obviously, Deonna Purrazzo's defending her championship against unknown. Could that be Ruby Riott, who goes by Ruby Soho right now? Could that be Mickie James as well?
I mean,
those are the rumors for that.
I mean, are those really names that you're like, oh, I gotta watch now?
No, I'm not saying that they're names.
No
you gotta
offense
watch.
to Ruby. I mean, Mickie James is Mickie James. I mean, I've seen Mickie James on at I think a Northeast Wrestling show years ago.
Naoto and Okada. Those are some names that could possibly make appearances. Possibly
for Impact
at Slammiversary.
Really? Wow.
I mean, Okada had a minute. Was in TNA Impact for a minute. They treated him really badly, and he didn't obviously get to the.
How do you treat somebody that good that bad? That's awful.
Well, you just give him a horrible gimmick. WWE's done it before many times.
Well,
WCW's done it many times.
Yeah, they have. And that's what I worry with AEW with bringing all the talent over.
Mojo Rawley. There's a possibility. I mean, he seems like that perfect mix level guy.
Oh God,
he could be showing up. Obviously, the big name here that I'm about to mention is.
You're not, here's the thing: if you're listening and not watching, you're not watching on YouTube. Mm-hmm. My facial expression is just mean, really, Mojo Rawley. That makes me want to. I mean, put him on at the end of the show. I'll just go to bed early. It's fine.
Well, one that's probably out of the financial range, but possibility because he's a free agent.
Braun
Strowman. I guess my thing is, like, what I'm trying to get at though is Impact Wrestling loves to debut a lot of guys, but then like.
Don't do anything with them.
Well, it's not that they don't do anything with them. It's that
they didn't really do much.
From people who aren't fans of Impact Wrestling, they tune in, they get excited, and then they just tune right back out. Like Kenny Omega showing up tonight on Impact Wrestling. Cool. He'll be here next week. Yeah, I'm not interested. I watched Slammiversary last year, and they had all those debuts, and then they're all here now. Cool. All right. See you next time when there's more debuts.
Yeah, that's really what it is. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, if I'm not mistaken. What did Impact get this week for ratings? Like, what did they get? Like 40,000 people to watch? Like
their ratings aren't even chartable for the most part.
Yeah, I mean it's not even a blip on the radar.
I think they are going to be the ones who benefit the most of having fans back in.
Okay, so they're going to go from 60,000 views to 80,000 views. Yeah.
Here's the thing that fans does for me. Okay, and it probably does this for other people. Whether it's sports or whether it's wrestling, if you're going to go to something, then you do a little research going forward. When I go to a pay-per-view, let's say back in the day I went to a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view when SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view sucked. So I didn't really watch SmackDown that much. It was pre-taped. It was Friday Night SmackDown. Wasn't a huge 05 SmackDown fan, okay? Sure. But I got tickets to, No Mercy, Great American Bash, what have you, for SmackDown. Well, I mean, I don't want to not know the matches I'm going to be watching, so I'm watching SmackDown every single week leading up to that. WrestleMania is a good example this year. I watched Raw and SmackDown almost every single week for like 4 weeks straight leading up to WrestleMania, knowing I was going to WrestleMania. Okay, so when you are going to, let's say, SmackDown, or you're going to an Impact Wrestling, you're going to watch it the week before, you want to see who you're getting, and you eventually just have that overall down the line, because I'm going to Impact this week, someone's going to Impact next week, and the week after, and the week after.
But
so as long as you always have that, you'll have people tuning in.
To me, and this is how, this might come off wrong to to our fans or, people on the social media. To me, Impact is just... It's just indie wrestling on TV. It's not good. I don't like a lot of it.
I don't want to say it's not good. I just think that
to me it doesn't. There's a few bright spots. Let me rephrase that. There's a few bright spots, but overall, it's not watchable for me.
I will say this much:
not.
I'll agree with one point, and I'll disagree with the other. And the one point I agree with is it is indie wrestling on TV, which is good, but it's not good. It's just indie wrestling.
A lot of it's not good though.
I'd say their women's division leaves a little.
I had to rephrase myself, so I corrected myself. A little edit. A lot of it is just not good. There are some bright spots. Like there are some good matches, like Deonna Purrazzo. I'm considering driving 2.5, 3 hours to maybe go see Deonna Purrazzo, because I enjoy what she does.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the stuff, like who's that one contender she faces all the time? I forget her name. It's like
Rosemary.
It's like something I can't even think of it, because she's always faced. I think she faced her in her debut. Jordan.
Oh, Jordan Grace.
I can't get into it. I'm not a fan. There's Deonna Purrazzo, and then there's everybody else. Because the only other name that I watched is now in NXT.
Well, yeah, that's also true.
And
I guess I think it's indie wrestling. It just has lower production values. That's one of its downfalls.
And well, here's the thing: I would rather watch Ring of Honor than Impact.
Now, why would you rather watch Ring of Honor?
The way they produced it is better. I don't know. I just like the way it's done.
So I see where you're going, and I probably agree with you there too. Ring of Honor is like indie wrestling, but it's produced like indie wrestling. But Impact tries to produce it like WWE, but it's clearly like not to that.
It's a ripoff, is what it is.
Yes.
Ring of Honor, the thing I like about Ring of Honor versus Impact, they know what they are. They know what they are, and I respect that. They know they're not going to compete and go for the brass ring, which is WWE. They're not. They know what they are. They have a niche audience. Impact, sometimes I feel like they don't realize that they have a niche audience. They try to be, the WWE or the AEW.
They try to bring in WWE guys instead of...
Ring of Honor's doing fine. Well, here's the thing. Ring of Honor did just bring in a former WWE talent, Chelsea Green.
Yes.
But for the most part, they have enough there of known commodities where they're fine. Have they taken a hit because of AEW? Of course they have. There's only so much talent to go around. We know that. The talent pool is what it is. But they know what they are. And I respect that, and I will watch it more because they still have some names out there that I will go watch. I mean, I think last time I checked, don't they still have Dalton Castle?
Yeah.
Dalton Castle's a name that I like. At least, is Jay Lethal still doing things? I think he is too. That's the thing. I don't sit there and watch it religiously, but I'll watch it enough to know what's going on. I would rather watch Ring of Honor than Impact Wrestling. It's as simple as that. I will go through my channels, my sources to watch Slammiversary, but they will not get a buy from me. Absolutely not.
All right. Well, that's your strong opinion of the week from Brandon. There's
my rant. There's my rant of the week.
Before we head into Money in the Bank talk, quickly, Buddy Murphy has hinted. He sent out a tweet that just said August 31st, 2021. Don't know what that is.
He's going to AEW.
That's probably around the time. Well, he does have something booked for September 18th at the old ECW Arena in Philadelphia against Brian Cage. So that is his first booked match as of this point. But
can you refresh my memory? I know this, but who's Brian Cage? Who's his main employer at this point?
AEW.
Buddy Murphy's going to AEW. If you can't figure that out, folks, we just broke that for you. He's going to AEW.
All right. So August 31st, according to Brandon, you can expect him in AEW. And that'll mean if he's in AEW, you can still honor that indie wrestling.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, too.
On September 18th.
Because here's the nice thing about AEW, which is very appealing. You can do these things. You can go to these different indie shows and do some things for different organizations because Tony Khan is not a controlling dink like we know somebody else. Just saying.
Money in the Bank is this Sunday from Fort Worth, Texas, the Dickies Arena. I don't know who. I think that's a minor league hockey arena. I'm not sure exactly who plays at the Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas.
It's probably, you know what? I mean,
I don't think it's TCU. I think they play on their own thing.
I should know this because, being a fan of, some teams down that way, I should know that, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's SMU?
No, they play in Dallas.
Is it?
They play.
See, there you go. Point proven.
Yes. They play.
If it's Fort Worth, no, you're right. If it's Fort Worth, maybe it's North Texas.
North Texas, I don't think do they play even in that area?
I feel like they do.
I thought they played in like Denton, Texas.
Denton's pretty close. It's pretty close to this.
Correct, but this is right in Fort Worth.
If it's right in Fort Worth, then it's probably
I know TCU, but
but it could be like TC. It could be.
I thought TCU had their own like on-campus arena. This is like it might just be the Fort Worth Wrangler hockey team.
I mean,
I was unaware that Knoxville. So when I went to Knoxville, Tennessee, they have the big arena where the women basketball team plays and the men's basketball team plays. The bowling Thompson Arena. The court's named after Pat Summitt.
Yeah.
Anyways, that place holds like 20,000, but they also still have their own civic center in which has like a Knoxville minor league hockey team play at. That's not.
Yeah, a lot of schools have done that over the years. I mean, even here in Syracuse, Manly was held for a lot of different events too.
So the Dickies Arena, it's a new arena though. It's not new as in like brand new, but I think it's within the last 4 years.
Oh, so it's okay. So it's a newer building.
Yeah, so I think it is like a newer like downtown like minor league hockey.
That's cool. Hey,
get events to come to Fort Worth instead of just going to Dallas, which Money in the Bank is. But before we get to Money in the Bank, we'll go after. It's crazy to think. Speaking of Money in the Bank, just how long? I mean, it makes you feel old.
No, don't say that. Oh man, I feel.
I mean, this is like the 11th Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and I remember back in the day when like WrestleMania 11 happened, and you're like. I'm old enough to remember like when WrestleMania was like 15 years old, and I'd be like, wow, this is like a historic tradition. Now, Money in the Bank, if Money in the Bank was WrestleMania, we could be filling up domes by now. It'd be like it's been around for that long. It's crazy to think that these offshoot pay-per-views have been around for so long now that they're like I said, they could have like a DVD box set, best of Money in the, not like they probably already have it.
For those of our fans not watching, I'm just sitting here kind of like shaking my head because I'm just feeling old. I'm just thinking to myself, I kind of got my hand on my chin here.
I mean, we're not talking just how long the Money in the Bank match has been around in general.
John Cena and Punk wrestled like a decade ago. Oh my God.
Literally, yeah.
Oh my God.
The first Money in the Bank match, actually, according, then that's why we're going to just give you according to like Sportskeeda, they did a poll of the best Money in the Bank matches, the worst Money in the Bank matches. The best Money in the Bank match overall, meaning the pay-per-view itself, comes from Cena versus Punk 2011.
Because it was.
While the worst comes the last year, Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt.
Because it was.
All right.
They're not wrong. Sportskeeda, the folks that did the polling there, good job.
And their best Money in the Bank match itself comes from the very first one, 2005, so 16 years ago. Edge, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Christian,
Kane.
Hey,
be careful. You got to be careful using Chris Benoit, Jeez.
Edge, vacant. Chris Jericho, Christian, Kane, and Shelton Benjamin.
Hey, we can use Chris Benoit on this show. I don't care because you know what? If we're going to talk some old WCW, he's going to be on there. But
first ever
who won
that
match?
You that was Edge.
That's what I thought. I thought you were going to go there because
I was there when he cashed in Money in the Bank.
Were you there that day?
Not at WrestleMania 21. No,
I was
when he
surprised you weren't
when he cashed in at New Year's Revolution about a year later against John Cena for his first championship reign. I was at that event. But it's crazy to think that yes. The first Money in the Bank match was 16 years ago. So if you just remember how big WrestleMania 16 was, WrestleMania 2000.
Wait, did you graduate that year?
I graduated before that actually.
What, 04?
04.
Wow. So that was post Jared High School. That was Brandon Icebreaker High School. I think I was a sophomore.
But it is just crazy to think that this match has been around long enough.
Yeah.
This match has been around. I did something with a friend the other day that made me feel super old. So my friend will be attending SummerSlam with me this summer in Las Vegas. It'll be his first SummerSlam.
Did you play an old video game?
No. So This is his first SummerSlam, and we attended our first WrestleMania together, which was WrestleMania 23. That's the first WrestleMania that we went to.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yes. And I equated it to, we were 20 years old when we went to WrestleMania 23. So I told him, attending his first SummerSlam, that is the equivalent of somebody at 20 years old attending WrestleMania 3, Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan, and then attending their first SummerSlam being SummerSlam 2001.
Oh, don't
the
do
year
that.
of the invasion.
Oh, dude, don't
So
do
the span
that.
from when we drove ourselves to go watch a WrestleMania all the way to this year's SummerSlam is the same span as somebody who watched Hogan Andre live to then watching Booker T and The Rock. Rock, like, post already in movies Rock.
Wait, why do you do this to your friend? Oh, my God. Hey, I don't know Jared's friend, but that makes us feel old, man.
And that shows you what kind of span, because like the span of time I've been watching wrestling, or I've been watching wrestling for longer than that, but the span of time just from like when I was an adult attending WrestleMania to when I'm an adult attending SummerSlam is like, if like I said, the same equivalent of like WrestleMania 3 to SummerSlam 01. If I was 20 at WrestleMania 3 and I went to SummerSlam 01, I would have been an adult in like literally the pinnacle of pro wrestling. Because think of the things that happened from Hulk Hogan Andre all the way up to the invasion angle. I mean, we're talking all the 90s. We're talking WrestleManias. We're talking Hogan winning more championships, to Hogan joining the NWO, to the Attitude Era coming and the Attitude Era essentially going.
Dude,
the birth of ECW to the death of ECW.
To my family and friends that are a little bit older than us,
Yes.
I would say they were adults in that era. So I would put them like born in like, even if you're like late 60s, even I would say like late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
If you're born in the late 70s, so folks that are like, for me, like maybe 10, 12 years older than me, I'm envious because like that time frame is like the best time in wrestling.
It would have been really cool to be 20 years old in 1987 and then like 35 years old in like 2002.
Shit, I would be cool being...
And then my 20s, I literally got to just go, every time I went to an event, I got to go to the first Raw, Attitude Raws, first SmackDowns, ECW, WCW.
Being 18 when Nash and Hall, when everything happened in 96... Dude, that would be so sick. I still go back and watch some of that stuff.
Well, that's the that like 14-year span is the pinnacle of wrestling. And it's crazy to think because Money in the Bank debuted 16 years ago. And I know a lot has changed in the last 16 years, but I wouldn't say the last 16 years are like wrestling as a whole. Like from WrestleMania 2 to the invasion angle, that's what, 14 years? 14, 15 years? And that's like wrestling as a whole. So it's WrestleMania 1 to the invasion angle, which is WrestleMania 17. Those 16 years right there between those two is like you saw everything. You saw Andre.
Yeah.
You saw wrestling before Titantrons to wrestling with the best pyrotechnic. You saw like Hulk Hogan coming out pre-theme music.
And you wrestled in a venue known as the Pontiac Silverdome that no longer exists, I don't think, right?
Well, it doesn't exist, no.
I think it blew up. Didn't they tear it down?
Eventually, it took a while. It took a minute.
It took them a few times because it was so structurally sound.
But that 16-year span, the beginning of it sees wrestlers not having entrance music to the Undertaker coming out on a motorcycle.
Yeah, or the crazy pyro that we know that
so
you
like
critique
think of
especially.
all the things that happened in those years. Like Paul Heyman at WrestleMania 2 time had yet to really debut in WCW as a manager, and then by the end of that spectrum, he is already been the owner of ECW, and he's a part of the invasion.
Well,
angle.
now you're talking this era. I cannot gloss over the fact that the sports entertainment, or as I like to call it, the pro wrestling world, we lost somebody this week.
Paul Orndorff,
Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff.
Yeah, Mr. Wonderful. I mean, what a career. What a career. He was one of the better wrestlers in that era. Speaking of that.
Well, I mean, Paul he was kind of finishing out that. I mean,
he was he
was
more
like
my
late
dad's
80s,
era. Yes,
late 80s, early 80s.
He's more my dad's era, but he was still relevant during that time. And I just couldn't believe it. I mean, 71? I think it was. Passed away at 71. So thoughts and prayers, of course. That I could not do this show today without at least acknowledging the fact that we lost one of the greats.
And it's crazy because Hulk Hogan has seen everybody he's wrestled come and go.
Yeah, there was a picture I saw online. It was like Hulk's opponents. They're all gone.
Yeah.
And there was, I think I might be doing this wrong. I think the whole Heenan family is gone now.
Like Haku, Andre.
I think.
I mean, he had a big fan. He had people come and go.
No, I mean like the mainstays. I think some of the main names. I could be wrong. You could.
I mean, it's perfectly possible. I mean, the Bulldogs are gone.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure I'm right.
It's wrestling. There's a lot of people gone.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Money in the Bank Sunday night. We're obviously address some of the rumors that are. We'll start with AJ Styles and Omos. Though they're defending their titles that they won at WrestleMania and forgot they still had. The Viking Raiders are going to be their challengers.
Keep moving. They're not losing.
Roman Reigns and Edge, the championship match. How are they going to book this for Roman Reigns to beat Edge and keep Edge strong?
Ooh, I got one for you. I don't know if it's going to happen, but maybe John Cena screws Edge.
Would that set up John Cena versus Edge?
Yes, and then eventually it moves on because you know this is what WWE does. Roman Reigns and John Cena later on.
Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair. I think Charlotte Flair's winning. Heading into SummerSlam, heading into the big stage, I think Charlotte Flair is the champion.
Yeah, Flair's winning.
That's not me personally liking Charlotte Flair. I do like her a lot, but WWE likes her a lot more than I do.
Well, WWE loves her.
Yeah.
Don't even say likes. They're infatuated with Charlotte Flair, which is fine because she's so good. She's been how many times champion? I think 13.
A lot in a short span of time.
Hey, Charlotte Flair's money. Keep making that money, Charlotte. Keep doing your thing.
The women's Money in the Bank contract: Asuka, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Ash. Does that stand for a superhero?
Almost a superhero.
Almost a superhero. That's her new gimmick. If you haven't caught on, Liv Morgan, Zelina Vega, and she's back.
Welcome
Obviously,
back.
we talked about that.
Yep.
Natalia and the man. She's going to be there. We know the rumors have been already kind of stated she's going to be back.
She looks great. I saw some videos, footage, photos. She's back, and she is winning the match. You heard it. You heard it from me right now.
Just a little sidebar about Money in the Bank. I will say this much though: the entire, not just the Thunderdome, but the entire pandemic era of wrestling. I will say last year's Money in the Bank was the most intrigued I was to watch a non-fan pay-per-view, especially before the Thunderdome. Before the Thunderdome, the only thing that I was even curious about watching was indeed how they did Money in the Bank last year. And obviously,
it was different. Yeah.
Yes, a lot of sports places have said, and a lot of other things I've read have said the worst Money in the Bank ladder matches were the ones last year. But I will say, that is the one bright. You know me, I hate cinematic matches. I hate this whole nonsense of what they did during the PC. But I'll give them the creativity on that one. But moving on, the men's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Wait, I didn't hear your pick. Who'd you pick for that match?
I got to pick TBD as well. Come on now.
Yeah, I'm going with Becky Lynch.
Ricochet, John Morrison, Riddle, Drew McIntyre, Big E, Kevin Owens, King Nakamura, and Seth Rollins. Now here's my pick for this one: Big E.
I'm not disappointed with that answer. That's a solid answer.
But here is my hot take, and we'll end the show on this hot take.
Whoa, hold on! I got to get my choice in before you. I'll let you finish off the show with the hot take. So before I give you the hot take, you know who I'm going with. I think because I talk about him every single week.
I think his name's Riddle.
Riddle is winning the match. Let's give Riddle the frickin' Money in the Bank.
So this is my hot take going in, because we haven't mentioned the main championship match yet between Lashley and Kofi Kingston. Here's my hot take. Kofi Kingston wins the championship. Big E comes out to celebrate. Big E cashes in on Kofi Kingston, hands the belt over to Bobby. Hands are shaking. I mean, that's a wild, that's wild hot take. But hey, you got a member of the New Day in the Money in the Bank contract match. You got a member of the New Day in the championship match.
I think I like it except for the last part. I don't see Big E ever handing the title over to anybody.
But I mean, Bobby Lashley, he's got his group, man. But his persuasion.
I don't hate it. I think it's a viable plan, and that would be a way to turn Big E into a heel. That would be cool. But in actuality, Bobby Lashley's keeping the title. Who we kidding? He's going to be the champion.
I think he might have the championship, but just being given the championship. You know, the old Andre beating Hogan and then handing it to Ted DiBiase back in the 80s. Maybe.
I mean, in theory, it sounds interesting. In reality, Bobby Lashley's going to SummerSlam as champion.
Whatever does happen, and whoever does make their returns, both in Impact, AEW, WWE, we'll be here to talk about it next week.
Yes, we will.
For Brandon, I'm Jared. Money in the Bank this Sunday. This has been another edition of the Heel to the Face podcast.